You know that person who laughs at literally everything? The one who finds something funny, even in moments that would push most people over the edge? Yeah, chances are they've lived through some serious things. And no, I don't mean an awkward phase in school. I mean experiences that permanently reshape how you understand the world. Picture this. Someone cuts them off in traffic. Do they explode with anger? Not at all. Their mind is already ahead of the moment, wondering if that driver is overwhelmed, dealing with a breakup, or just desperately needs a bathroom. Because once you've made it through your own storms, other people's light rain feels different. And here's the part no one really explains about people who've been through too much. Their mind actually runs on another wavelength. It isn't damaged, it's conditioned, forced by survival to become this finely tuned system that's still adjusting to a reality where danger isn't constant anymore. But something even more unusual is happening underneath. Over time, they build what looks like resistance to chaos. Not a shield against pain itself, but protection from being completely shattered by it. They've learned that making it through isn't a question, it's a certainty. And this is where expectations flip. You'd assume someone who's suffered deeply would turn cold, resentful, withdrawn. But often the opposite happens. They become some of the most compassionate people you'll ever encounter. And not subtly compassionate, intensely so. They recognize pain in others instantly because they've learned that language by heart. A tiny change in how you speak, they catch it. That smile you're forcing, they've already figured out how to check on you later without drawing attention. They understand silence, not just when words stop, but how that silence feels, whether it's heavy, disappointed, tense, or simply exhausted. They notice shifts in a room the way others notice a change in the air. Most people enter a space and register the objects. They walk in and immediately feel the emotional climate. And there's something unexpectedly beautiful that grows out of all that pain. Many experience what psychologist Richard Tedeschi calls post-traumatic growth. His research shows that roughly half to two-thirds of those who face serious trauma don't just recover, they move beyond it. Their bonds with others deepen. Their sense of what truly matters becomes clear. Their gratitude for simple moments can feel almost exaggerated. A quiet sunset can bring them to tears, and they don't bother hiding it. But there's a side of this no one really prepares you for. These same people often live with hypervigilance. Their internal alarm system never completely shuts down. Know someone who always chooses a seat facing the entrance? Or who prepares a dozen backup plans for a casual coffee? That isn't paranoia. That's a nervous system shaped by experience. One that learns safety isn't promised, it's temporary. And here's the part that can really twist things. They tend to minimize what they went through. All the time. It wasn't that serious. Others had it worse. I'm okay. Really. It's like they've become allergic to being seen as victims. They survived by convincing themselves they were fine. So admitting pain now feels like losing. The irony cuts deep. Let's talk about relationships for a moment. People who've endured too much often end up either fiercely loyal or emotionally distant, sometimes both at once, which is exactly as confusing as it sounds. They'll answer your call at 3 in the morning without a second thought, but ask them to open up about what they need. Suddenly, they're impossible to pin down. Why? Because in their past, closeness came with consequences. When early connections were unstable, the body doesn't relax with intimacy. It tenses up. Many carry this internal conflict. They crave closeness, yet feel afraid to rely on anyone. Because in their experience, dependence always came at a cost, so they train themselves to need no one. It sounds powerful until you notice how isolating it really is. But then there's something remarkable most people overlook. They become incredibly adaptable. A new job? Fine. A move to another city? Sure. Life completely unraveling? Just another day. And the humor. The humor is on another level. Dark humor in particular. It isn't about being cruel. It's about stripping pain of its power. When you can laugh at the absurd parts of your own suffering, it loosens its hold. Humor turns into protection. Every joke becomes a small act of defiance against what tried to destroy them. And here's something that might catch you off guard. People who've been through too much often have a complicated relationship with control. They'll obsess over tiny details in their daily life, yet stay strangely calm about huge unknowns. Why? Because they've learned the big things are usually out of their hands, but the small ones still feel manageable. So yes, they might spiral over which mug to choose, while staying completely relaxed about not knowing where their career is headed. That contradiction is the whole point. They're living paradoxes, strong yet gentle, protective yet giving, optimistic yet grounded. They've learned that two opposite truths can exist at the same time. Life can be breathtaking and cruel, sometimes in the same moment. But there's something people rarely talk about. Beneath all of this, there's grief. Not the grief of losing someone else, but of losing who they used to be. They mourn the version of themselves who trusted without hesitation, the version who laughed freely without scanning the room first, the version who didn't rehearse every conversation or search every silence for danger. They grieve the self who felt lighter, the self who didn't worry about being too much or never enough, the self who moved through life without their chest tightening at every unknown. How do you explain missing a version of yourself you can barely recall? How do you say you're homesick for a place that only ever existed in your mind? A childhood you didn't fully get to experience, a softness you couldn't hold on to, a sense of freedom you discovered too late. This grief doesn't destroy them, it molds them. It makes them quieter, more aware, more deliberate. It turns them into someone who protects peace because they understand the price of chaos. Someone who values safe people because unsafe ones taught them how deeply pain can cut. And maybe that's the real insight here. People who've endured too much don't simply survive. They gain a layered, nuanced understanding of what it means to be human. They know strength isn't about never breaking down. It's about how often you can put yourself back together, even when some pieces no longer fit the way they once did. Their survival turned into awareness. Their suffering turned into empathy. And without realizing it, they became something rare, a lighthouse. Not because their life was easy, but because they learned how to move through storms that would have crushed others. A lighthouse doesn't shine because it's flawless. It shines because it remembers the dark. So the next time you meet someone who seems unusually calm in chaos, strangely at ease with uncertainty, or quick to laugh at their own pain, understand this. That wisdom was earned. Every joke, every boundary, every unexpected depth. They've lived through too much, and somehow they're still here, still showing up, still choosing hope. That's not just psychology, that's poetry in motion. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing. And if you'd like to support these deeper explorations, tap the join button and become a channel member. I truly appreciate it.